Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's Lunch and Learn. I'm Lauren Smith with the International Franchise Association, and we have a great 30 minutes lined up for you. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that we are recording today's webinar and will make it available later this evening on community.franchise.org. If you have any questions for today's speakers, please add them to the chat box and they will be addressed toward the end. Today's topic is the F words impacting your franchise awards, and it is brought to us by the Entrepreneur Source. Here to provide today's discussion is Melissa Pang and Tamara Loring. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you to the Entrepreneur Source for sponsoring today's Lunch and Learn. I'll go ahead and turn things over to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Lauren. Mel, check it out. Look at all these people. Oh my gosh, I love it. We're going to have an amazing session today. Welcome, 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 everyone. We are here today to explore what myths and some choice F words may be impacting your franchise awards. We will learn what those myths and mindsets are. We will shed some light on the current state of Americans who want to be self-sufficient but are scared to death about being self-employed or going into business for themselves. We will also share with you how to dispel these myths for franchise candidates and allow them to have a mindset shift so that you can bring in high-performing franchisees who are excited about leveraging your business model as a vehicle to attain their goals, their needs, their expectations. Just a quick intro about myself. I am Tamara Loring. I am in charge of brand ideology at the Entrepreneur Source. Many of you may know us as TES. So you know that TES is a 40-year-old award-winning career ownership coaching organization. Our goal and our mission is to help people reimagine and reclaim the life of their dreams by exploring what's possible. I've been so fortunate to be a part of this quest, which is to help empower people and organizations for over 21 years at this point in time. So today's session is going to be hosted by myself as well as Mel. Mel, why don't you go ahead and do a quick intro?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Lovely to see some familiar faces. I saw Rita and Steve shout out. So thank you so much and excited to be here with all of you today. My name is Melissa Pang. I have been at the Entrepreneur Source for 7 years, which I say is the longest commitment of my life, and I love it. I am the member relationship strategist here at TES. So I work with all of our franchisor members who are a part of this community, and we work together to strategize on how to collaborate better, bring our franchisor members really strong franchisee candidates. And again, really excited to chat with you guys here. Oh, I'll just mention as well, if you do have questions, comments, whatever, throw it into the chat and we can either answer it as we go through, or if there's time at the end, we want to get to those. So don't be shy.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Mel. So we all have a common objective. As franchise developers and franchisors, our goal is to grow our brands. And in order to do that, we need to close more deals. And in order to close more deals, all of us are familiar with the sales funnel, we need more leads. Does that sound right? Well, at least that is the perception. However, in our experience, we have found that 75% of the adult population has this desire to want to be self-sufficient, but only about 5% of them know how to get there and are what we call ready, willing, and able to do that. These are the kind of individuals who know exactly what they want, and they're ready to start. How many of these types of leads do you get on a daily basis? Go ahead and chat and ping it in. Is there an abundance of them? Can you just not get, enough of those? I'm seeing texts coming in. Well, very good. Well, what if we could cultivate the other 70%? Those people who are scared to death and maybe clueless about how to get started. What if we can allow them to take a journey where they can become educated and aware about maybe the possibilities that exist and discover how these possibilities, like your franchise brands, can be used as vehicles to achieve their income, their lifestyle, their longer term wealth and equity goals, needs and expectations? What if we humanize the process and work to understand the person rather than think of them as a lead that we want to close? What if we think of them as a seeker and we're curious about who they are and what they want to achieve, and then help them explore and understand how your business model can help them achieve their vision and the dream that they have dreamt of? It starts with the name. The people you see on the screen, these are not hot leads. These are real people seeking. They don't want a high pressure sales pitch, but what they do want is an opportunity to collaborate in a safe space where education, awareness, and discovery can occur. If you only look at the candidates' raw numbers, I would venture to say that you may be missing out on the bigger picture. These are real people with families, with hopes, dreams, and aspirations. The guy on the left, his name is not net worth, it's Joe. And the more you help Joe grow and develop, the more your brand will grow and develop. Humanize it and understand who that person is and what they're looking to accomplish. Mel, do you have anything to add to that?
Absolutely. I love the phrase adding, the humanity into franchising, because I think sometimes you can start looking at, the check boxes and our process and all of our qualifications, and you start kind of filtering people by those different qualifications. But when we look at the numbers and what some of those say, it's actually really interesting when you look at, okay, what's actually the opportunity? T was talking about the 5% who we call are ready, willing, and able. So they're the ones who are saying, here's a check, I want to buy a business, tell me what to do, I'll sign, let's go. That's 5%. When we look at the actual numbers, and this is in our book, the Your Career Revolution book, and these are numbers from 2022, so current, we know that 70.8% of Americans, they want to be self-employed, but they're employees. So these are people who are saying, I want to be self-sufficient. I want to do something on my own, but they're stuck in their 9 to 5. They're in corporate America. They're doing the daily grind. Then you think about and you look at, okay, what's the number of people who are actually self-employed? They're in an existing business. They bought an existing business. They're a true entrepreneur. They're a solopreneur, whatever it looks like. They're in a franchise. So about 9.9 million out of 164 million Americans are actually self-employed. And that equates to about 6% of the American population. And I suck at math, but I can look at this and say, okay, there's some good opportunity here if we can tap into the 70.8% of Americans who want to be self-employed, but they're not there yet. And what we know is they're just scared of self-employment and business ownership and what that looks like, or they're completely clueless about what that looks like, or both. So take a minute, and if you want to, you can throw this in the chat. It'd be interesting to see, but what are your current conversions right now as a franchisor, Fran Dev, as a member of your Fran Dev team? What's your current conversion from lead, or we call them seekers, to franchise award? And whatever that number is, again, you can put it in the chat if you want to, you don't have to, but just think about that. Is there room for improvement? Would you want to see that increase? And what if you could start seeing a 2x conversion, 5x, 10x? Wouldn't that be exciting? Wouldn't that be worth doing things differently? And that's why we're getting into dispelling the myths, which I'll let T take from here to give us the opportunity to understand what that mindset looks like.
Yeah, and just being able to really capitalize on that opportunity, that huge gap that, based on the statistics that you just showed us. So if I may, we would love for you to allow us to give you an opportunity to understand the mindset of the 70% of the population who say that they want to be self-sufficient, but are scared to death about business ownership, franchising, you name it. In our experience, most people have bought into these myths that we'll be covering today that may very well be preventing them from pursuing business ownership, franchising, or even build long-lasting wealth or creating a legacy for them and their family. And these are the very things that they say that they want, But these myths could absolutely be preventing so many people from becoming a legend. How in tune are you with these myths and mindsets? Right now, you're probably thinking, I don't even know what they are. So come on, tell me what they are. How can you help your candidates shift those mindsets and work and walk them through your discovery process? And even what if you created more of a discovery experience for your candidates as opposed to saying, hey, we have this process and you must go through it? I know the difference in mindset may seem subtle, but yet even something seemingly so insignificant could actually change everything. People will forget what you say, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. That's a Maya Angelou quote. So thinking about your discovery process and thinking about how to turn it into an experience for the people who are learning about your business model. Mel, what thoughts do you have?
Absolutely. So it all comes down to really that candidate mindset. It's such a vital piece of how they're going to go through your discovery experience, like T was saying. And I see, Michael, you asked, what's the number one way to get people who dream of ownership to finally make the change? What's that top strategy? And I think we're really going to talk about that a lot, because it comes down to a lot around the mindset and how can we, because people who dream of ownership, they're in a mindset where they want to get into business ownership, but they don't have the how. And so they kind of fill in the gaps with their misconceptions, fears, the different things that we're going to talk about today. So how can we help those people shift their mindset? So now it's no longer, well, I think this about franchising. I think this about a certain business model. They get the education, they get the info and the knowledge to make a really informed choice. It's not based on fear. They're not self-selecting out. So hopefully we can answer that by the end of today. And you've probably already heard about some of the myths that we are going to talk about today. It's, in our 40 years of experience, we've heard a lot from the candidates. And so I would love to know from you guys if there's anything that comes to mind that you hear from candidates that myths that they talk about, or reasons that they tell you they can't move forward with your business, or they can't move forward with self-employment or a franchise. What are some of those things that you're hearing? And you can write those in. I know from what we see with our clients, some of the things they say, I'll know it when I see it, or I'm waiting to fall in love with the right opportunity, or I don't want to go out and do X. I don't want to go out and clean windows. I don't want to go out and fix someone's toilet. And we all know that there's a lack of knowledge and information there that can be holding those candidates back from being owners. So another question to ask yourself is, how often or how many times in the past 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, has a candidate left your process because of their own mindset, their own preconceived notions, something that they gave a reason, and then they said, you know what, this isn't for me? In our experience, they really get hung up a lot of times on the product or the service, instead of being able to look past that to the infrastructure, the support, the resources, the training that's really going to allow your business model to be an amazing opportunity to get them to their goals. So T, let's finally get into some of the myths that we see all the time with our clients, that 70% that we mentioned, they're fighting with this. So what are some of those myths?
You actually highlighted a bunch of them, but what I'll do here in a second is put some structure around that. But to answer Michael's question, right, before you can allow somebody to start dreaming about what's possible, it does take trust. And in order for trust to occur, you need to build a relationship and create the safe space, because otherwise somebody thinks you're going to strong arm them or persuade them to your point of view. But once that foundation is there, this is where we can explore the typical myths. And we have 7 myths highlighted here for you, 4 on the first page and 3 on the next. We find that myth number 1, people believe that finding the right business will make me successful, as if success lies outside of themselves, right? It's not on them, but it's the business. If I only find the best business, I will be successful. Well, I love that when people challenge me on that, because I say, think about the most successful franchise you know on the planet today. What is it? And usually it's one of the food concepts that they'll throw back at me, and I'll say, okay, now think back over the last 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, can you think of a single location that closed? And they typically say, well, yeah, I can think of at least 1 or 2. All right. So if it's the most successful franchisor on the planet today, how is it possible that 1 or 2 locations did close? Could it be that there was something that the owner had to do? Could it be that it was maybe location or mismanagement or anything that you could have attributed to that success? What people don't realize is that success comes from the inside. Comes from the inside. What a franchisor does is provide you with a successful business format, and then it's up to you to make it successful. Another analogy I like to use is it's like a franchisor gives us the recipe to a chocolate chip cookie. Now, if I start mellow with the recipe and I omit the chocolates, I bake the cookie and then try to squeeze in the chocolates, it's just not gonna work. So helping people see that they can have a proven format, but then it's up to them to make it real and make it reoccurring. That's myth number 1. Myth number 2, the secret to my success is to find a career doing something that I know, love, and enjoy. Oh my gosh. How many times have we all heard this? Maybe growing up, going to school. Go and do what you know, love, and enjoy and are passionate about, and success will follow. Well, as you can see on the screen there, businesses founded on the owner's background, experience, or knowledge have the highest incidence of failure. We know this because we're in the franchise space. We have seen what's happened to independent businesses. As a matter of fact, and I'm sure you must have, if you haven't read the book yet, The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, he talks about how technicians turn their hobbies into businesses, but they don't take care of all the other aspects of business, and then they fail. But the reverse is true too. Maybe you can use a business and a proven format to live the life you were meant to live, generate more income than you could have ever imagined, maybe create long-lasting wealth and equity. And even if it wasn't the product or service that you were infatuated with, I bet you, if you're leading a meaningful life, and it's checking all the boxes, the thing that you didn't maybe love before, you will become quite passionate and enamored about that. And that is the magic of franchising in so many ways. So that's myth number 2. Myth number 3 is I'll know it when I see it. Oh my gosh, I love it, especially when you go to an expo and you watch these people go up and down the aisles, right? They look at the brand, they look at the logo, and they're so quick to dismiss. And I always wonder, I'm like, how do you know whether this is going to be the right thing for you? Is there going to be something in the logo? Is it the flashing neon signs? What is it? But that is how people judge whether they think the opportunity is right for them. They think finding the right opportunity is going to be like falling in love, like the stars and the moon and everything will just be aligned. They'll just have a gut feeling. They'll know it when they see it. Well, what we want to encourage people to do is put their emotion aside and go and gather the facts. As a matter of fact, I encourage them, especially the concepts and the businesses that have you scratching your head saying, how can this be viable? How can there be an ROI? How can it be possible? Be insanely curious. Go and see, how is it possible that somebody not only created an independent business, but then was able to have a proof of concept and they were able to franchise it, which means they were able to replicate it and duplicate it nationwide, maybe even globally, right? So don't succumb to the myth that you'll know it when you see it. Give truth a chance, go find the facts. Myth number 4, oh, I cannot be in blankety blank business. I don't know anything about the blankety blank business. I used to think that too, because corporate America conditions you to write your resume, list all the things that you have experience in, and then as you're looking for a promotion or maybe the next job so that you can elevate your career, it's all about the things that you have accomplished. When I was new to franchising, this was a mind bender to me. It was like, wait a minute, how is it possible that this person wants to look at that business? What do they know about it? And a mentor of mine said, team, now I came from the hospitality industry. They said, team, it would be like a gourmet chef wanting to be part of McDonald's. McDonald's is in the speedy service business. They've already fine-tuned their recipe. They do not need a gourmet chef to come and tell them how to make a better burger or a gourmet burger. They said the more knowledge you have, in many instances, it can actually become a liability. And when the light bulb went off for me, I realized like, oh my gosh, if I don't need experience, if I have to just bring my work ethic and follow a proven methodology, suddenly there was an abundance of possibilities available to me and at my disposal. Never again in my life do I have to worry about opportunity. I can participate in 80, 90 different industry sectors, right? So that is definitely a mindset shift from what the 70% of the adult population believes to be true. Let's flip to the next slide and let's look at the 3 remaining myths. Myth number 5. All right. Well, if I were to consider a franchise, I don't know whether this is for me because HQ, corporate headquarters, will dictate everything. I want freedom, but they will take control of everything. Well, think about it. I love to talk to people about what is the benefit of a franchise. Every great franchise on earth today started as an independent business, which means the founder and the pioneers in that business did all the research and development. They had the trials and tribulations so that you can now enter here and follow a proven system. System stands for save yourself significant time, energy, and money. So the franchisor provides that proven framework so that you can learn from their mistakes, or you don't have to make the same mistakes that they've done. And remember, the only reason that there is this format or these guidelines and these parameters is because they want to set you up for success. Understand this, there's never ever been a successful franchisor without successful franchisees. So if you can help the candidate understand that these rules and regulations are in place to save them from themselves, it is set up to be a win-win relationship. Franchising doesn't work otherwise. Myth number 6. Oh man, okay, I get that framework, but I cannot be creative in a franchise. Well, I don't know about your franchise, but definitely in our franchise, and I've been part of it for over 21 years. Quite honestly, the best ideas haven't come from Mel or myself or anybody here at our home office. We work and collaborate with our franchisees because they're the ones interacting with the general public every day. They're the ones servicing our clients. They're the ones often seeing opportunities, and then we collaborate and we test and we pilot to see how we can use this to elevate the brand. Some ideas work, some ideas don't. I mean, if you think about, let me use McDonald's as an example again, the breakfast menu. Not Ray Kroc's idea. No, that came from franchisees. Have you seen the pantyhose vending machine in McDonald's? Maybe not so much. I haven't been in a McDonald's lately, but from what I hear, they're still not there. An idea some franchisees had, but that didn't fit the business model. But the idea is creativity does have a place, but it does have that format. So if somebody is worried that they may not be able to be creative enough, that is a myth. And then last but not least, and there are probably more myths that we can cover, but in the essence of time, I want to make sure that we move on. Myth number 7, franchising requires more money than I can afford. We hear that one all the time too. Yeah, maybe your own personal savings won't be able to help you start up the business, but banks, There are opportunities. So many people don't realize that they can actually repurpose the money in their retirement funds and invest in themselves rather than having it as a passive investment. In our experience, we have found if the dream is strong enough, money will find a way. So before I get too carried away here, Mel, why don't we talk about maybe some F words that people have to contend with as it relates to some of these myths?
Absolutely. And I know we get very passionate about this. So we have a little bit of time left here, but we do want to talk about the F words because as we're working to dispel the myths, that's not all that candidates are coming to the table with. They also have F words that they have in their mind. And maybe it's the F word we all know and love, but there's also some other F words around franchising that come to the surface. And so what I love about the myths is it's an opportunity. So if we can identify the candidates who have their mindset around one myth or another, we can then educate to that and provide info to help shift that mindset. Same with the F words. I think in franchising, F can be for franchise. An F word for candidates can be the word franchising and the idea of franchising. And for us in the industry, we know and love it. We've seen it succeed. We know what it can do. We see the opportunities it provides for people and their families. But for 70% of the population, they don't know about the opportunities in franchising. And so this is something that we can begin to educate our candidates about. And along with this, we know that within franchising, there is a massive impact on our economy, a positive impact that franchising has on our economy. How can we help our candidates understand this as well so they can get away from franchise being a bad F word? And we know ourselves at the Entrepreneur Source, 95% of our clients who end up investing in a franchise business, it's a model, it's a brand that they either they never would have looked at on their own, or B, they would have prematurely dismissed it. And so what does that tell us? With education and information and getting the awareness around what franchising can do, people will move forward. People are excited to move forward. So, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but this is from the Franchising Economic Outlook that came out, and you can just see how much franchising does contribute to the overall economy and the amazing opportunity there is there.
Oh my God.
So what other F words could be holding people back? And just know we only have about 3 minutes. So
right. Okay. Thanks for the reminder there. Yeah. So, I mean, the economic impact of franchising is just phenomenal, right? It's absolutely fantastic. But we need to understand, as people have these myths, there's some emotions that they need to contend with. And these are the F words we typically see. People are frustrated with their current circumstances. They think that there has to be a better way. They face fear. You guys may have heard the acronym for fear. What does it stand for? False evidence appearing real. If you've got a copy of our Your Career Revolution book, we go into detail about the different types of fear that people may be facing. Fear of change, fear of the unknown. Believe it or not, even fear of success. If you're wondering how that's possible, definitely pick up a copy of the book because I won't be able to cover it here right now. Of course, finances. Do I have enough money? What if I'm not going to be able to get to the ROI soon enough? Right? Those are things that stop people in their tracks, as well as family and friends. These are people you think would support you, but if you don't allow them to be part of your dream and you always had a 9-to-5 corporate job, and then one day you say, I think I'm going to go in business for myself, they're going to think that you went mad. Allow them to be part of the journey. Your candidates, make sure you involve their family and the stakeholders who are going to be used as sounding boards to, at the very least, engage them in the dream so that they can support your potential franchisee. Now, if we go to the next slide there, I think an easy way to think about the myths, these are the mindsets and the beliefs our candidates hold. The F words are the emotions, the roller coaster of emotions that they may be going through. Before we wrap up here, Mel, do you want to maybe comment on that?
Yeah, I think that it's really important just to be aware as the franchisor looking for really top performing quality franchisees to join the system, rather than being so quick to qualify people out and thinking that they're not serious or they don't want it or they just don't get it and just dismissing them quickly. does it make sense for us to become curious ourselves and see maybe it's a perception or emotion that's holding them back, and all they need is more information? And I just want a quick shout out. Rita said another F word would be fantasy, where they just have unrealistic expectations and dreams of what they want in a business. So how can we help them with that?
I love that. I was going to comment on that myself. So in conclusion here, remember, 75% of the adult population is looking for self-sufficiency. So we cannot be surprised or even shocked to run into many of these myths and these F words. But it's really our mindset about what we encounter and how we choose to handle them that will make all the difference. We encourage you to not allow your own preconceived notions about your candidate hold you and them back from exploring what's possible. Who knows? Flexible Lifestyle Joe or Community Jill may just be your next top producer. Take it home, Mel.
All right. And then just, I know we're at the end of our time here, but just want to leave you with a few things that you can use to identify this with your own candidates as you're working with them. Pay attention to how your client is speaking. What are they doing? What are they not doing in between your calls, on your calls? What are their nonverbal cues? We're all on Zoom these days. How are they expressing themselves or not expressing themselves? And don't be afraid to ask your candidate, how does this land with you? What we just talked about with funding. Does that make you feel a certain type of way? Do you want to talk about it more? Can we get your spouse or your significant other involved? Does anything that I've talked about make you uncomfortable? And don't prematurely dismiss the candidate because of their lack of interest, their stress, their anxiety. What can you do to really draw their myths, their preconceptions out of them? Because at the end of the day, and it goes back to Michael's question, we want to help shift their mindset because they are probably holding themselves back from business ownership. So help them work through the myths, help them identify the F words and work through that. And on the other side, you could very well have your next top performing franchisee. So thank you guys so much for joining us on today's Lunch and Learn. Fantastic to see you. Thank you for the comments. And we look forward to chatting with you in the future.
Thank you so much, Melissa and Tamara. This was excellent content and excellent feedback from all of you. We really do appreciate it. Again, this webinar was recorded and along with the presentation deck will appear on our website early this evening. You'll be able to find that at community.franchise.org. Thank you very much again to Melissa, Tamara, and the Entrepreneur Source team. And again, thank you to everyone for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day and stay safe and healthy. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.